G'day everyone, Paul Stoner here, CEO Biggin and Scott, joined by Daniel Ashton today, who is our Salesperson of the Month for September. Congratulations.
Thank you, Paul.
Also Salesperson for the year last year. Congratulations.
Yes. Thank you again.
But we're talking about September, so you've missed a couple of months.
So
Elstonwick Market and Caulfield and so forth, it's been a couple of months. A lot of people have been away on school holidays and so forth, and we've had a few changes. But you're travelling well, so things are still selling. Yeah.
Look, I guess you could say part of it might be down to having the right listings. But I've been obviously speaking to a lot of people about what's going on at the moment, and I think the key to my success at the moment is giving my clients the right advice and giving them the right expectations coming into this market.
Yeah. Which is interesting. So we just interviewed Kim before you got here, and customer service is key at the moment, and it's really sort of stepping back, taking a deep breath, and making sure you address all the things that need to be addressed, and people are across the market and what happens at any particular stage, because it's more important now than it's been for a long time. People have been able to just list it. It sells, the agent doesn't do much, but you guys are working your bums off at the moment, because the reality is there's probably one buyer, not three.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, look, I totally agree with you. I think with vendors, in this type of market, it's very easy for them to, turn around and blame us as agents if they feel that, we've done something wrong. So it's key more than ever, as you say, to make sure that the service it's almost over-service in terms of, what you're giving them at the moment. Just so, we get to the end of the process, and if the price isn't quite what they were hoping for, they still feel that you've done everything you can, and they walk away from the experience. It might not be, a bottle of champagne and, hundreds of thousands over the reserve, but you did your best. We know that. Thank you for all your efforts. The price, is satisfactory to us, and we can move on.
Which is interesting. So this market will be kind to people like you, because you've been doing all of the fundamentals for a long time. You always do it. And it is, as I constantly say here, it's the process that gets the result. It's not necessarily the agent. Some agents might have a process, but they can't demonstrate it. But you've got a process you follow from listed to sold, and that is the thing that you'll be able to table now and say, I do this on this day, I do that on this day, you'll hear from me here, you'll hear from me there. That's really important as people get nervous in a market, and it's.
And I think it's very important, and I've spoken about this before, but I think it's very important in today's market more than ever to demonstrate all of that up front at the pitch, not later down the track. I always say that preparation is key, and I think that's one of my big points of difference and success. Is that I do a lot of preparation work before I go to a first meeting. Someone calls me and asks for an appraisal, or I find one through prospecting or whatever I'm doing, and I set that meeting for a couple of days out or a week out, whatever it might be, and I'll spend a good couple of hours preparing for that meeting, deciding what my angle is, what I'm going to tell them, what material I'm taking, and I basically go in with everything, like a full array, full artillery, rather than walk in with nothing and say, let's make another meeting and I'll come back to you and pretty much give you nothing. And a lot of my competitors still do that, and I feel that gives me a real edge, because I think people like to know that the person they're talking to is prepared, is well prepared, knows exactly what the plan is, and they feel comforted by that.
So have you tweaked that recently? Because usually when you sit here I say, is there anything that you're working on currently? So have you tweaked that? Because it's, in my opinion, that's always been important, but it's more important now than it's ever been. And probably the main question is, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, considering what you've been reading in the papers and seeing on TV, what's your feel of how the market is? Because it's not, we don't drive the market. So you are preparation, couple of hours, great to hear. How does that look when they see it? Are they surprised how it all?
I normally hear that feedback. I normally hear, wow, we're very impressed with with what you've brought to us today and what we've gone through. So, I get great feedback from it. But what does it look like? Obviously, it's the standard things that we go through. Talking about advertising schedules and fees, but also all the material that we're going to display at the property. The information sheets. All of that as well. The marketing reports that we send out, what the feedback looks like. We go through all of that. I've got all of that material, all the way down to what similar properties to theirs. Obviously, I've done all the research. What similar properties have sold for, what those properties are. So I'll identify 2, 3, 4 properties that are similar to theirs. Take them, obviously, the brochure, but I'll print out the database. For each of those properties, and then go through it with them and say, if you list with us, not only will we obviously do everything that we normally do in terms of internet and all of that, but we're actually going to go to these databases, and this one's got 74 registered buyers, this one's got 100, this one's got 50, and we're going to blast those people, get on the phones for any of the underbidders, and actually, there's actually gold in those databases for that particular client, because those people have already identified Elston Week or wherever it is, they've already identified the price point. So it's those lists are full of qualified buyers that we can demonstrate that we've already got a hold of.
Yeah, and this is interesting because I remember years ago I gave a friend a list of all the stuff we do from list to sold. He was in a different type of business. He said, "Oh my God, you guys work so hard," and you said you're over servicing, and I think the reality is you've always over serviced. But there's a lot of people that don't follow the list of what to be done on what day and can't demonstrate it. And that's the big difference in this market. Demonstration of what you do compared to demonstration of I just want your property.
And that's the thing. I mean, I think most vendors are aware of what's happening in the market, and they're also aware of people trying to buy their listing. At the moment. So just going in there and throwing a big price around can actually work against you. When an agent like myself walks in with everything and goes through it all and kind of, it's all factual. It kind of makes the other guy, if he's gone in with nothing and just thrown a big number around, look completely, out of line and,
Well, it's good to
not
hear.
credible.
I'm glad to hear that some vendors are doing their research before somebody comes in. It's fantastic. Because the reality is they get 3 or 4 people in, they don't know how to say no, so they're having to deal with 3 or 4 people, and eventually you say, do you want me to call them? Process is king, customer service is king at the moment. How is October looking for you guys?
October's looking good. We've got a bit on. Again, it's the old thing of how the market is at the moment. We've got some really good property. I think it's priced well. There are buyers coming through, but they're all playing the game at the moment. So so you're kind of giving feedback to your vendor, which you prefer to give more clarity. But the general theme or trend at the moment is to come through, look, show some interest, and then completely go underground, on follow-up. So, so you're doing everything that you promised your vendor you will do and that you should be doing, but the buyers are almost just sitting back in the shadows and just watching.
They honestly believe they'll be the only one there on the day.
Yep.
Which is very interesting.
Well, that's they've been conditioned by the media to do that. Now it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's kind of like they see enough auctions passing in with no bidding, and they're convinced that even if they like something, that if they sit back, eventually we'll have to drop the price down, and they'll get it for a lot less than.
Okay, so a bit of time in between your opens at the moment, obviously, for negotiation. Hopefully,
not between between the opens, not really. Like we're still rolling 15 minutes apart. But I am saying to vendors, it's certainly not the market for auction at any cost. I think that's the real message. If we manage to identify the one buyer or a couple in the market that aren't being too opportunistic, do want to buy, have a need to buy, and have indicated that the property, is suitable and there's a bit of passion there, try and get them into an offer situation, and sell it before. It's certainly not an auction at any cost market right now.
Yeah. So fundamentals are key. You can see you deal with Daniel. They make the calls. They're doing all this stuff that you would want to be done, that you believe should be done. And as we've said a lot of times at this table, it's some things that people consider to be the boring stuff, but that's the bit that gets you the result. And it's there's no secret with the guys that have success. They're good on the phone.
Yeah, well, it just, again, it comes back to the vendor feeling that everything's been done at the end of the process, and that's the key on today's market. As long as they know you've done everything and you've demonstrated that, in most cases, if they're an active seller, they're not discretionary, then they'll make the decision and move on.
Yeah. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
Good to see you. Number one salesperson in Biggin and Scott. He's humble. He doesn't like saying that. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Thank you.